Hey guys, just showing you a quick video of my 2004 Chevy Colorado personal vehicle for running EMS calls. In Indiana, we run green for volunteer EMS. I just kind of want to give a little in-depth overview of what all I have on my truck and where. The first thing I really installed was in the reverse lights. They're traditional strobes. It's a kit from LEDGlow, and I have one in each reverse light, and then I have one in each headlight up front. They're insanely bright. That's the only non-LED lighting that I have. Secondly, I have an E24 from Extreme Tactical Dynamics down next to the license plate, dual color amber and red. I have two strobes that I got off eBay for really cheap that are green on each side of the back window, set on totally different flash patterns. One cycles through every possible flash pattern on the left. The one on the right's just steady, each side illuminates. The traffic advisor that I bought, I fell in love with. It's from SpeedTech Lights, and it came with the Direct 2 control box, and I needed extension wiring with it. So I mounted that up in the headliner in the rear of my window. It's dual color, red on the right, amber on the rear, but I also wanted a traffic advisor. So what you get with the control box in here, I have it mounted right on my dash. So you can change all the flash patterns, you can change the speed, which I think is really, really nice. And then you can change center arrows or direct traffic. I like the fact that you can change the speed because you can have it going insanely fast, like when you're in a response type setting. And then if you're on scene and you want something a little slower, you can change it so it's not as blinding, especially at night. If you look directly at it, it is insanely blinding. I have all my switches down here on the side. There's 4 of them. One for green lights, one for white and amber, non-emergency, and then one for lighting in the bed, and one for spotlights out front. So, speaking of, we have a squad car coming down here running lights and sirens. Perfect. What was that? Ha, maybe. All right. For side coverage, I opted for eBay strobes in the windows. He's moving. Godspeed. I opted for eBay strobes in the side windows just for some side coverage. I don't really expect to need too much side coverage because we're not allowed to go through red lights and we don't have sirens. I also kind of got curious and just figured what the hell, it was $50 to do so. I made my own custom rocker panel lights. And what those pretty much are, they're just scanner strips that I got off of eBay, wired them all into my greens, and alternated them green and white. So they just cycle through all the flash patterns. And it actually, they are really bright. It adds a lot of visibility to the bottom side of the truck. In the front of the truck, I have headliner lights. I have the eBay strobe, or the LEDGlow strobes in the headlights. And then I have a dual color bar from Superior LED. And then I got these little white lights at AutoZone and just set them to spaz out. They're absolutely blinding. And I put those in my grill before I had my brush guard, because now my brush guard kind of gets in the way. But the one here from Superior LED, it works pretty well. It's not claimed to be waterproof, but I siliconed the open ends and it's held up just fine. I have a spotlight on the top that's 32 inches, a spotlight on the front that's 24 inches, and then down here there's a spotlight that is simply 9 inches. And they are insanely bright. They're great scene lighting We get some very rural areas where it's pitch black and it works great. So that's pretty much all that I have on the Colorado. I think that's where I'm gonna leave it. I'm sure I'm almost completely sure that I'm done with the lighting setup on the Rado. Just some other modifications here. I have spotlights tied into my reverse lights. Next to my license plate, I have a rear view camera, and I didn't do a very good job on the drilling job. I have a light bar across the back, the tailgate light bar from LEDGlow. I've got LED brake lights and third brake light from eBay. I have a CB radio and soon to be a VHF radio in the back. It's wired up so it can only be on when my truck is on. That way I don't accidentally leave things on, kill a battery, etc. Some other mods here. I have LEDGlow million color kit in the front seats. It's fancy. It came with a remote control. Can change all the colors, flashes to music. I absolutely love it. It's wonderful. I also wired in, because I have a full stereo setup, full kicker system with two 10-inch subs under the rear seat. I have my bass controller. And then right here next to it, I wired in an extra cigarette lighter, and that is tied into my green switch. And the reason I did it that way is so when I have my green strobes on, I can change the flash patterns on my overhead bars. And I don't think I mentioned it before, my overhead bars, there's a little bit of flashback. I mounted them as best I could. So the only time you really notice it is at night, and it's honestly not horrible unless you're in an area where it's pitch black, but I can always reach down and kill those fairly easily and keep all my other green lights on. And I also wanted just to be able to change the flash pattern. The front headliner also has directional arrows. And there are so many flash patterns to choose from. I'm still exploring all the combinations possible with the flash patterns on my truck. So if you guys have any recommendations, anything you think I should have, any thoughts in the comments. The only thing I really plan on adding is a VHF radio and probably just wire in a charger back here. I have a switch down here and it's mounted directly to my sub box, and all it is it's a voltmeter. It also has a traditional cigarette lighter, and it has two USBs. And that's just wired in to a separate switch straight to my battery. All right, so I've showed you guys the emergency mode for when I'm going on EMS calls. This is my non-emergency mode. It's just the red switch inside my truck. I have this strobe that I got off eBay, and it's actually really bright. I paid like $30 for it. I'll post a link. It is very bright. I was actually surprised. I didn't really have high expectations from it. But it's got numerous different flash modes. This is what I use for when I'm chasing storms. We don't really get too many good storms here in northern Indiana, but this year we have just been slammed. We had like 31 confirmed tornadoes yesterday, over 100-mile swath that cut through our area. So it was very, very cool to have all these lights. So that's simply my non-emergency mode for storm chasing. the bright and the traditional strobes in the reverse light, I can turn those off if they're too bright. And what I can do, the switch is right here, and it's wired in, so when I turn off my strobes with my traditional switch down below, it kills the power to this. And these can only be turned on if I already turn on the switch for those. And then I'll show you my spotlights here. That's just on a switch right there. Nothing too crazy. But they are insanely bright. The only other real modifications that I have, and I just put this in today, I just bought a Beltronics radar detector and I mounted it to my overhead bars. So when I turn the truck on, it automatically turns on. No work required, really. On the same circuit I ran off my fuse, I have wired in my GPS, so it boots my GPS, my radar detector, and my dash cam that I got off eBay. The dash cam actually, the quality's not great, but it actually works fairly well. You can see what's happening, it shows traffic just fine. So if there is an incident, it's caught on camera. For $12 off eBay, why the hell not, you know? So that's really all the modifications that I have done to my truck. I did an LED swap to all the interior LEDs. It really brightened it up in here. The only problem with eBay ones is they kind of flash like that. So I got to get a different bulb in there. Other than that, just let me know what you think. Feel free to leave a comment, shoot me a message if you have any questions or any recommendations, preferably. I'd like to hear your guys' opinion. So stay safe out there. The world's crazy nowadays. Have a good night.